Hey, this is Stefany Gonzalez, and with my classmates Lizeth Carbonell and Sebastian Silva, we're gonna talk about the Reggio Emilia model of education. First of all, let's see what is the Reggio Emilia model of education. This model of education was born out of the ashes of the World War II. Italian citizens built a school using the stone and timber from buildings destroyed during the war. The main notion of this model is that young children are totally capable of initiating their own learning. Children have strong potentialities for development. They are subjects with rights. Now, what is the view of learning? The Reggio Emilia model of education views the learning as a manifestation of the many ways that children express themselves. This idea was called by his founder Malaguchi as the 100 languages. Therefore, learning is not the explanation of mathematics or reading tedious books. Reggio Emilia model wants children in constant exposure to literacy, numeracy, and other crucial skills for life, improving the ability to work independently and in groups. Well, what are the main principles of this model? The first one is that children are active protagonists in their growing processes. Children are equipped with extraordinary potentials for learning that are manifested in an incessant exchange with the cultural and social context. Every child is the subject of rights. Every child, individually and in their relationships with the group, is a constructor of experiences to which they are capable of attributing sense and meaning. The second one are the 100 languages. Children, as human beings, possess 100 languages, 100 ways of thinking, expressing, and understanding, of encountering otherness through a way of thinking that weaves together and does not separate the various dimensions of experience. The 100 languages are a metaphor for the extraordinary potentials of children, their knowledge building and creative process, the myriad forms with which life is manifested and knowledge is constructed. The third one is participation. It is an educational strategy that is constructed and lived in encounter relations day after day. Participation valorizes and makes use of the 100 languages of children and human beings. This is understood as plurality of points, of views, and of cultures. This generates solidarity, responsibility, and inclusion. The fourth one is the learning as a process of construction, subjective and in groups. Every child, like every human being, is the constructor of knowledges, competencies, and autonomies. The process of learning, research strategies, exchange and discussion, and also participating with others. The fifth one is the educational research. Research is one of the essential dimensions of life for children and adults. The priority in this research is between adults and children as an everyday practice. Research constructs learning, reformulates knowledge, and develops professional quality. And on national and international levels, it becomes an element of guarantor of pedagogical innovation. The sixth one is designing. The educational action is shaped through the design of didactics, of environments, participation, the professional growth, and novel means of applying predefined programs. The seventh one is organization. It is structurally part of the values and choices of the educational project. It looks for the construction of responsibilities networks that are co-shared at levels of administration, politics, and pedagogy. It demands the working conditions and forms of contract that guarantee stability, continuity and sense of belonging. The eighth one is about the environment and spaces. The interior and exterior spaces of the infant toddler centers and preschools are designed and organized in interconnected forms, are offered to children and adults as places to live together and research. The environment interacts, modifies, and takes shape in relationship with the projects and the learning experiences. It is a constant dialogue between architecture and pedagogy. Taking care of the furniture, the objects, and the activity spaces is an educational act that generates psychological well-being, a sense of familiarity and belonging, a aesthetic sense, and the pleasure of inhabiting. The ninth is about the professional growth. Professional development is developed in the synergy between staff update meetings in single preschool and infant toddler centers. And the last one is about the evaluation. Evaluation is a process that structures the experience of education and of running the schools, part of everyday aspects of school life. It is understood as a public act of dialogue and interpretation.
Let's see the role of the teacher in Reggio Emilia's model. So, he or she, the teacher, develops the role as a co-constructor. But what does it mean? It means that the Reggio teacher is a guide to the child's learning through nurturing their curiosity, providing a hypothesis and solving problems. Other role is as a documenter. They are also documenters through listening to children, recording their activities, displaying their work, and revisiting previous projects. Radio teachers take on the role of researcher so that they can lend knowledge and expertise to the children. The final role of a radio teacher is to be an advocate for children by being involved in the community, knowing politics related to children, and speaking up for children when needed. So radio teachers employ strategies such as exposing children to a wide variety of educational opportunities that encourage self-expression, communication, logical thinking, and problem solving. In other words, teachers play some roles in the Reggio Emilia classroom, but something to highlight here is their primary role. That is to learn alongside children, becoming involved in group learning experiences as a guide and resource. A Reggio Emilia teacher must always carefully observe and track the growth of children and the classroom community. Reggio teacher will also take time to reflect on what they have learned about themselves in their teaching, as I told you before. So those were the principal roles of the teacher in Reggio Emilia's classroom. We are going to talk about the role of the children in Reggio Emilia's model. So, the student's role in the Reggio Emilia is equally as important as the teacher when deciding the direction they want to learn. This model is based on the belief that children must be active agents in the classroom in order for learning to occur, and that students, when given a range to participate in the learning process. Students are defined as powerful, active, competent protagonists of their own growth. Students work cooperatively to make use of available resources, share ideas and inspirations, and negotiate decisions within the learning process. So, student and teacher listen to one another's point of view. Authors of literature of Reggio Emilia model state that this model provides students opportunities to take leadership roles, to plan with group members, to make decisions, to delegate tasks, to share resources and ideas, and to develop a sense of ownership over the process. To summarize, the student's role in this model is not to be passive agent, for the reason the content is often defined by the children's interests, with the teachers scaffolding the experiences that help children to construct their knowledge, as I told you before. So those are the principal roles of the children in this model. Let's see the vision of the class in Reggio Emilia's model. So, the vision of the classroom in Reggio Emilia model is to provide students many possibilities and opportunities to explore, to express themselves creatively, and they are empowered by their teachers and their learning environments. It helps children make thoughtful decisions about the materials they would like to use for different objects. On the same line, the classroom acts as a living organism, a place of shared relationship among the children, the teachers, the parents, and a feeling of a belonging in a world that is alive, welcoming, and authentic. Because the classroom acts as a living organism, it is one of the more critical components in the Reggio Emilia philosophy. Classrooms and common spaces are carefully integrated with one another, as well as with the outside community. Classrooms also use natural furnishing to encourage real-life interactions.
Now, let's speak about the main benefits that Reggio Emilia model has. The first one is children's emphasis. Children have rights when it comes to their own education. There is a lot of emphasis put on listening to children. The second one is community. Community is one of the concepts that are at the heart of this approach. There is a strong emphasis put on community, whereby children need to interact with their peers, their teachers, and their parents. This takes us to the third benefit. The Reggio Emilia model focuses on open-ended projects, which allows that children create their learning experience. They are there to find solutions, so children's role is always active. The next benefit is that kids express themselves in 100 different languages, and learning and exploration are expressed through the arts like drawing, sculpturing, music, dance, and movement, painting, drama, and imaginary play. So all the activities let kids to learn different ways of communication. And finally, the flexibility of the curricula allows children to guide their own learning experiences based on their passions, interests, thoughts, and observations. Children participate in hands-on activities that encourage collaboration and problem solving, both in the classroom and beyond. On the other hand, let's see the limitations that Reggio Emilia model has. The first limitation is the results for parents. As learning is child-directed and project-based, it is very difficult to show parents that their children are learning. There are no worksheets at home or grades of exams to show that their child has learned something. This can be a real disadvantage to parents who want to see results of their child's work. Also, there is no way to test children. As there is not a set curriculum and not a standardized test, kids cannot be tested to be compared with other kids of the same age in a regular school. And finally, the majority of the schools that are based on Reggio Emilia model put a lot of emphasis on the importance of large space. Reggio Emilia schools are found in wealthy countries and are attended by children from wealthy families, while the poor cannot opt for the Reggio Emilia approach. Now it's time to speak about materials and their importance in the model. Firstly, materials are important because they catch kids' attention. They make them want to stay and explore a little or a lot, try new things, create, and wonder. Many materials used in a Reggio Emilia model are common and easily found in craft or art stores, or indeed out in nature. Materials in Reggio Emilia model are open-ended, which means that a material can be transformed. A material that, when left alone, does nothing in particular but comes to life in the hands of a child. Materials that require the child to use their imagination or their experiences. Some of them are wooden blocks, fabric scraps in various sizes and textures, reusables like cardboard tubes, popsicle sticks, cotton wool, or natural materials like rocks, sticks, pine cones, bark, and leaf. Natural materials have wonderful aesthetics qualities. They stimulate the sense by how they feel, smell, and look. For example, blank blocks, which are wonderful open-ended materials, endless possibilities for construction. Finally, it is important to highlight the several possibilities that Reggio Emilia model provides to our classroom. Although at first this model can be confusing and intimidating due to its novel environment and activities. There are many ideas that can be adopted into the classroom. The materials and activities used are common and easily found in stores or out in nature. It's just when teachers start to think differently about learning and focus on children's needs when they start to see the potential in these materials as tools for the learning process. So, of course, the schools which adopted this model can be expensive and not for everybody. Teachers can apply some of these ideas to let kids to explore the world by their own. And on the other hand, this model fosters kids' autonomy because they can decide about their learning process due to the flexibility of the curricula. Despite the economic difficulties for Colombian public schools in the application of these kind of models, there are many different options where the teachers can implement activities and the best of Reggio Emilia model. Thank you so much. If you want to see the references, go to the next slide.